everyone, welcome to This and That. This is episode 5 with Mira Malhotra. My name is Neeti, and this session is called Designing for Music and Literature, a Journey in Editorial. She has an MDes in graphic design from NID, Ahmedabad, and also BFA in Applied Arts. Her 16 years of work experience spans across branding, editorial illustration, and design thinking. So thank you so much, Mira. And here we are, over to you.
So today I'm going to be leading you through a lot of my work, which I'm going to start at the good parts because the earlier parts were when I was like 23 were actually pretty bad. But we go on to the time when I started designing for music. And one of my colleagues from 17, we just kept in touch while I was at NID. And I spoke to her about maybe doing something with Sony Music because she was now working at Sony Music. So I worked with her on a lot of projects, and it was fun because I come from a very musical family. My brother is a sessions musician. My mother used to sing at quite a decent level at church, and she's a piano teacher and everything. And while I tended to go through the visual side of things, we did a lot of CDs and a lot of compilations. So with a compilation, it's actually kind of fun. It's kind of like designing a playlist on Spotify today, because that's also a compilation. But they were like fixed tracks, and they kind of represented the whole genre or subgenre as a whole. And I was just briefed like every 1 or 2 weeks on like a couple of new projects, and I just put it out. And if any of you know your design history or software history well, you will recognize the use of Zara 3D, which is like this cute little software that we used to use on Windows to generate 3D looking text. I kind of graduated from this kind of work, which is like more mainstream work. We did a few Bollywood albums as well, to being like the creative lead on Sony Music's indie brand, which is where I really wanted to be. And we had like more of these legendary sessions, I would call them, because they were right when like more independent music was coming out. We had this gig called Live from the Console. And this was super fun because they allowed me to do whatever I wanted. I just limited the colors and things like that and did a brand identity for them. But it was so cool because every gig I could do like a gig poster of my own. And I just had to write a concept to my boss. He would usually say yes to it. And then it would become a fun poster at the end, and nobody told me not to do anything, pretty much, which was insanely cool. Invariably shifted from events and music to kind of doing, I think, what I felt was more work that had more longevity in the space. This is kind of interesting because I realized how publishing can be so crazy also, because this actually took, I think, 2.5 years. So it's not that the cover was difficult to make at all, because like the sketch got done in like a couple of days. And the art director did know exactly what he wanted. We were not even toying around. So it was really easy. We just had to get like some drama or some emotion into this. And I think what was really strange for me was that Arshia got, I think she had surgery or something, and then just got shelved. And that's when I realized that if you have an author on board, you can't do anything, you can't release the book or do anything without her permission, right? So it just gets like shelved and you have to wait for it. So we actually, like, I had to get back, and then the whole team had changed and we had to get back on it afterwards. So that's kind of like what sometimes publishing is. It's just like that.
Right. Actually, I just would like to rewind a little bit in terms of the process. Like, how does publishing work? How do art, like, what is every company is structured differently, but there are literary agents, there are marketing, there is the author itself. There are so too many stakeholders, and then artists and illustrators come in and do their job, and then there might be back and forth, like you said, there might be time limitation. There's a brief. Like, how does this generally? We can take an example of this or any other book that you have done, and because I know that it'll be case by case very different.
This was a set of 3 actually. They were not sold as a set, but they were commissioned as a set because they were all done by Arshia. And this was like, this is my favorite. This was like the one that I felt really summed up for me what I also noticed about Ramayana. And this is a pivotal scene, right? That she's in the fire and she's getting tested. And there are appearances of other characters, but like the way the art director wanted them was to be sort of not fully seen because it is her perspective on things. So it's kind of like, I guess, a little bit of a feminist book in that sense. And the other thing is like she's so calm in the fire. That's what I wanted to really show in this whole thing. It's like she is not worried about being tested. And she's still radiant and she's still, she's very untouched by the fire. And that's kind of what I want to portray on this. Like that's my addition, I guess you could say. And it's a dramatic scene, but it's also not, it's not it doesn't feel torturous or angry or it's fiery, but not in the way that you would expect it to be. So that's the kind of feeling I want to give this thing through the treatment. And also like some of the first renditions of this, I will admit, were like extremely, because I like color a lot sometimes, and I went crazy with the color. And they were like, no, this is not what we want at all. So it kind of looked a bit coloring book. They were like, we love the sketch, but we don't like your the options you're giving us. So I was like, okay, I really need to pare down the colors. And that's when he got into like a more, slightly more like romantic, but not feeling too, it doesn't look like a comic book. It looks a little more subtle. Not that comic books don't look like this, but more like common comic book kind of style. So even this was supposed to convey, it has to be a similar style and was supposed to convey the relationship between Ram and Sita. And it had to fit in somewhat the same realm. And inevitably did that again with the same kind of feel of the colors.
I have a question about this. Is this an Indian publication or is it an international edition?
This is I have been told that this is Indian, but I don't know if it's available abroad or it was available abroad. At that time, I used to never ask these questions. Also, now I ask all these questions. At that time, I didn't ask these questions. And
Yeah.
that's actually a cool thing. You should be asking if you're ever designing a book cover. You should know what jurisdiction you're going to be publishing in, because that's another tip. Is that you can actually earn royalties of the book cover of the illustration if you're putting it in a different, if they're publishing in a different jurisdiction. So that's something I didn't know at the time. And I was just like, oh, I'm gonna have fun with these covers. And I just did that. But I think that's something that a lot of illustrators do know now. And I think that's something that if anyone is new to the scene, they should know. Had to read the stories a little bit. Some people always ask me, like, do you read the whole book? And I'm like, no, if you read the whole book, you would get like super confused about what to highlight. It's really your editor and a few summaries online that really get you to the crux of the book, and that's what you should be representing. And your editor should be your first person who really tells you, what is important about the book, what they want to highlight about the book. This is one of my favorite projects. I actually created, I think the reason this got out there in the world was because I had a deadline to it. It was like when Karak had just formed and we had decided to be at the East London Comic Arts Festival. And I was thinking to myself, I want to make the best use of my money to put out something that's really fun, but it should be something that's appealing to international audiences as well as local audiences. So that was kind of a bit of a question mark for me. Like, how do I put this together in a way that will appeal to both audiences? And what I thought was interesting, I also always want to appeal and make work in the queer and feminist spaces, or like for women, things that they like, you know. So, and things that I like also in a sense. And I realized that the sari has like a lot of like memory for women. Like, this is a kind of a garment which families have like as almost like an heirloom sometimes. And it's a size agnostic garment, which makes it easy for anyone to pass on to anybody. It made me realize how much memory and, how much a lot of girls like associate with the sari, and also how the trans community also, how trans women and the hijra community also like come back to the sari always as like a garment of their choice, favorite thing that they can wear. And that's what I found funny about the sari, is it kind of held this dual nature, that it's like it's also like something as slutty as Mandakini wearing a sari and getting wet in the rain, white sari getting wet in the rain. It's also like, hi, like Indira Gandhi wore this sari, or the nuns in my convent are wearing this sari, or even the social workers like or even like activists like Arundhati Roy wearing a sari. What does it mean? So I saw like so many like different versions of it and how people make associations with it as well. So it's sexy, it's slutty, it's what demure and feminine women wear when they're good girls. And I connected it back to like the idea of the Madonna and the whore. Like we can only imagine women as either like complete, saints with regards to their sexuality versus, the opposite, like firebrand, slutty kind of women. So I did it as like this visual essay because I really like collage also and put it together. So there are lots of references to like Draupadi, how men react to the sari, how women, think of the sari. And I don't think at all that in 24 frames, because I folded it that way that it was complete. The proportions are actually absolutely accurate to the most common type of sari. And we did get like, it was murder getting the hangers right. And this is a screen printed zine. And there's a lot of like technical understanding of how to print it, because the dots per inch can fill up really fast, and you can actually get like a really filled in sort of effect, which does not look good. So you have to print it also very carefully. It's done on like these really local papers, but essentially it was supposed to be something that mimicked riot girl music culture, which had these riot girl zines, which are very angry feminist zines, which I love. And I wanted to be like a punk rock zine in a sense, with dealing with the same kind of issues, but in an Indian context. What would it look like? Would it change? How would it be interesting? And also one aspect of this work, which is very important to me, is like doing something in a way that is not too extra challenging on the face for the viewer, but then when they open it up, it is more challenging to them. And this one was written actually by an intern of mine who is Arrow Ace. And they actually were really good at drawing and animation. So I told them like, just do your dream project here. Just go ahead. And so it took a long time to make, but it's basically how, when you say ace, it's actually short for asexual. And they just imagine this entire world of what it would be like if Ace of Hearts, like this overly romantic kind of life that people expect. How does it feel to actually celebrate friendship without platonic friendships? And it kind of explains all of these, I think, expectations, you could say, that are like thrust upon people and they may not even want to be those things or have those identities. So this was a lot of character design for them to do, as well as like understand how the structure of the card game is sort of like matched to this. The next three are like really straightforward projects that we did for Spotify. So the past was Sony Music, the new ones are Spotify. But a lot of it is being able to again represent the genre or the feeling of the playlist. In a really small space also, because they're supposed to they come up really small on the app. And it's super fun to work with the international team at Spotify, because I think they have a really good idea, tight idea of how the project should run and what they want from it. But they also give us the space to understand the cultural relevance of what we're doing. And it's still very simple and straightforward, the way we approach these playlists, but helping people understand what visual language could eventually come from it. So we did it also for Rap 91, and we do all these projects with, I do it with Irregulars Alliance, so I creatively direct them. So our team and their team. And this was supposed to just basically be like, we feel like hip hop came from the streets. So how about having something that feels like yellow and black, nice heavy typeface, and something simple that can be applied really quickly to any image and just make it feel like it's part of the brand, like just the addition of the logo. So this was so fun to work on. So basically working with them is really fun.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen this everywhere. Basically, every time you open your Spotify, you can see
Can
your
see it.
work there. So that's really cool. And it's interesting that, going from gig posters to working with the Spotify. So the medium is completely different. The interface is different. The problem is different, and solution is like, it's like,
Yeah. But it somehow still feels like very, very similar for me. I don't know. I feel like while so many things, smaller things differ, you're still representing the culture.
right.
And that's the thing you have to nail. So I think what's cool is that they have these systems in place that make it really easy, also to get it right.
Yeah.
It's super fun. It's just very, very fun.